Hi, it's Dave. I hope that your reading new year has gotten off to a good start. Even though I had a slow period around the holidays, now that we're into the heart of January, I find myself back into the swing of reading again, and it feels good. But this time of year, many of us set reading goals. I have a Goodreads account, and I always kind of set a goal for myself there. And in recent years, every year I've reached the goal and exceeded it by a little. So when I set a new goal at the beginning of a new year, I'm always tempted to kind of increase it a little bit more. And I know I'm not alone in doing that. Unfortunately, then it seems like a race, like we're always trying to read more books, maybe even shorter books, so that we can achieve our goal. But what I've really been thinking about, probably to the end of last year, I started thinking about how the fact that there were some books that I probably should just slow down and read better. And so, the goal that I set for myself this year, before I really kind of came to this conclusion, I set the goal based upon what I read last year, and I didn't increase it. But I think my New Year's resolution is that I don't want to read more. I just want to read better. Makes sense, right? Because this isn't a race. I do a lot of work in the productivity area, and I coach people, and I've done online courses, and I write a lot about productivity. Um, and sometimes the problem that I see with some of the people that I work with is that they see productivity as a means to get more done. And sometimes that's important. I mean, if you've got, a job that requires you to get a lot more done, you got to work a little faster to get it done and remove distractions and those kinds of things. So it has its place to focus on productivity and getting more done. But I don't think that applies to reading or should apply to reading. We've actually, I think, built a culture almost on emphasizing speed reading and quantity over quality. And I think there's a bit of a misconception that if we read more, we get smarter. I'm not sure that that's true, because what I have found is that I lose some of the meaning of books if I'm in a rush to complete the book. I'll tell you where this hits me a lot is I get a lot of books from my local library, love my local library. And I go online and I reserve books. And in an ideal world, they would arrive, at some sequence. But sometimes, I'll get a notice that, I'm reading one library book and oops, another one is available and it's only available for 7 days. So I kind of rush to read one book to read the other. And I don't think I get as much out of the books that way. Reading, in my mind, should turn on my brain and not only help me comprehend more of what I'm reading, but I don't know, just kind of have it ingrained in my mind and help me process the information. Now, there are some books you can read faster, right? I mean, books that you're reading that are purely entertainment, well, those are just like pleasure books or escape books, and boom, you can read those relatively quickly. But there are books also that you want to read to just gain facts or knowledge. You're interested in, prior to the election, you may have been interested in the Electoral College. So you read books about that. You were just trying to extract some facts. But for other books, where you're really reading them to gain a new understanding, that's where you want that deep comprehension. And I think if you do that, that's how you get smarter. So the value to me of deep reading is to slow down, connect with what the author is trying to tell me, and uncover the meanings that, might be kind of complex in the book. Or does something that the author writes trigger something in my head based upon something else that I've read? That to me is what deep reading is all about. Um, we've all seen the videos, right, where people are stressing speed reading. And and most of them will actually admit when pushed that by doing that, you're reducing your comprehension and your retention. So again, my goal for this new year is to focus on reading better. And I've spent the last couple of weeks, the first few weeks of the new year, uh, going online and reading about how you read better. And if you Google that, by the way, there's a whole lot of interesting articles, not just, pop articles that people are just kind of, but there's actually been research done on this, and that's what I'm sort of focusing on, and I'm trying to ingrain in my habits. The first one is to be more of an active reader. I've always like taken notes on the books that I'm reading. I'm doing a separate video on that, but I think that has always really helped me remember more. Highlighting key ideas, annotating, making little notes along the way. And sometimes what I've decided to do in this new year is to sometimes just stop reading and reflect upon what the author has been writing. I also want to avoid skimming. And I think like I'll admit it. Sometimes I just skim through. If an author is getting into a long story, kind of a case study kind of thing, I might skim through some of that because I'm looking for the meat. But I've really decided that I need to avoid skimming and read all of those examples because they really are designed to help us understand complex concepts. So I really, in this new year, as I read, I want to engage more with the author's ideas and, in a way, respect the creative process. I want to respect the fact that an author just didn't, crank out a book in a weekend. It took some time to research and write the book. And so I really want to kind of, and I know this sounds a little hokey, but I really want to develop a habit of reading as a way to honor their work. And I think by learning the concepts and having them be a part of my daily thinking is a good way to honor their work. And also just read more books that will just bring me pleasure, and view it as kind of a gift to myself. So in essence, my reading resolution for 2025 is not to just read more books, but to develop a new relationship with the books that I am reading. So you're going to find me probably reading fewer books in the weeks and months ahead. That's okay. And I'll give you updates as to how this journey is going for me. I think it in the first few weeks of the year, I think it is working for me. And one of the other things I want to do is not only go back to the books that are on my shelves that I want to reread to really, spend more time on the concepts, but I also want to go back and read more of the classics because I know that, in my youth, when I was an undergraduate, we had to read a lot of the classics, but you read to pass the test. And unfortunately, that was the history of my college career. And now I really want to step backwards, and I want to read some of the classics and read some of the heavier books to gain a new appreciation of what the author is trying to tell me. So that's my reading New Year's resolution for this new year. Leave a comment below. What's your relationship with the idea of deep reading as opposed to reading more books? You don't have to admit it, if you're in that race, but I would just like to know, your thinking on this subject. And if you are focusing more on deep reading and understanding books, leave a comment as to, some of the techniques that work for you, because I'd like to learn from you as well. So I just wanted to share some of these rough ideas with you. And as I said, I'll keep you posted on how it goes.